The year was 2137. On a huge space city called Miros 9, aliens from across the galaxy lived, worked, and traded. The city was full of lights, flying cars, and tall towers. But deep inside this world, a human chef named Hari was working in one of the most expensive restaurants in the city, Zelther Flame. Hari was not like the other chefs there. Most of the others were aliens with 4 arms, blue skin, or machine parts. They cooked with machines and followed rules written by food councils. But Hari cooked with his hands, using fire, taste, and feelings. He believed food should touch the heart, not just the stomach. Hari had worked hard for years to reach this place. He started as a cleaner, then a helper, and finally became a chef. But even now, the alien chefs didn't fully accept him. They called him the human spice boy and laughed at his primitive cooking methods. Still, he didn't give up. One day, everything changed. A famous galactic food critic named Veltor was visiting Zelther Flame. He was a floating alien with 6 eyes and a long neck. If Veltor liked your food, your name would become known across star systems. But if he didn't, your career could end that day. The head chef of Zelther Flame was Droger, a tall silver-skinned alien who believed cooking was only science, not art. He had no respect for humans and especially disliked Hari's emotional cooking. "Hari," Droger said that day, "you will make 1 dish. Only 1. But if you fail, you're finished here. Do you understand?" Hari nodded. "Yes, head chef." Hari spent hours choosing the right ingredients. He decided to cook something special, a dish from old Earth, spiced lentil stew with roasted root vegetables. He used alien herbs to add new taste, but the soul of the dish remained human. As he stirred the pot, memories of his mother cooking by fire came to him. He cooked with feeling, not machines. When Veltor finally arrived, he tasted Droger's dish first. It was perfect by numbers, balanced, neat, and cold. Then, he tasted Hari's dish. Veltor closed his eyes. For a moment, he said nothing. Then he opened his eyes slowly and looked at Droger. "This dish," he said, "it is different. It is emotional, warm, not precise, but it made me remember something I had forgotten, the smell of my home nest." Hari smiled. He had reached the critic's heart. But Droger's face turned dark. "Too emotional," Droger said quickly. "Too human. This is not fine cooking. It's just nostalgia in a bowl." Veltor floated back and said calmly, "I said what I felt, but I will not recommend this restaurant. It has no clear identity." With that, Veltor left. The room went silent. Then Droger turned to Hari in front of everyone and shouted, "You ruined our name with your cheap, dirty stew. You're fired, human. Get out of my kitchen." Hari stood still. His heart pounded. He had done his best. He had reached someone's soul. But still, it wasn't enough. He looked around. The other chefs turned away. No one stood with him. He took off his apron slowly. His hands shook a little, but he kept his head high. "I may not be your kind of chef," he said quietly, "but one day, you'll understand." He walked out of the kitchen. The doors shut behind him. Outside, the night sky of Miros 9 was full of flying lights. But Hari didn't see them. He walked alone through the busy streets, where humans were few and often ignored. Cold rain began to fall, and he didn't have a coat. He passed tall towers, food stalls, and robot vendors shouting for customers. But he kept walking until he reached his small home in the lower part of the city, a narrow room with a tiny stove, 2 chairs, and pictures of Earth on the wall. Inside, his younger sister Mira waited. When she saw his face, she already knew. "They fired you," she said softly. Hari nodded and sat down. He didn't speak for a while. Then Mira placed a warm cup of tea in his hand and said, "They don't understand. But you don't need their place to cook. Maybe you can make your own." Hari looked at her, tired but thoughtful. "I have no money, No place, no support. Just then, the door opened again. It was old Kesh, a retired chef who once worked in Earth's early space kitchens. He had taught Hari when he was just a boy. "I heard," old Kesh said. "It's their loss, not yours." He sat down beside Hari. "Long ago, I cooked for miners on asteroid belts. They were rough people, but they cried when I served them Earth soup. You don't need a palace to share real food, son. You just need fire in your soul." Hari looked at the steam rising from the tea. Something clicked in his heart. "What if?" he said slowly. "What if I build something of my own? A place where humans cook from the heart. Where food isn't about rules, but memories." Mira smiled. Old Kesh nodded. "You'll need a space," Kesh said. "And it must be yours, not theirs." Mira pulled out a map. "There's an abandoned cargo zone in Sector 12. No one goes there. It's old, dirty, and full of broken machines. But it's empty. Free." Hari stood up slowly. His eyes were different now, sharper, burning. "Show me," he said. The three of them left the house and traveled deep into the old part of Miros 9. Past broken lifts, old loading docks, and rusty doors, they reached Cargo Bay 12, silent, forgotten. It was dark inside. The air was dusty. But Hari stepped forward. He touched one of the old metal tables. Then he smiled. "This place," he whispered, "will be my kitchen." Cargo Bay 12 was silent, old, and forgotten. Its walls were covered in rust. Broken wires hung from the ceiling. Metal tables were turned over, and the air smelled like dust and oil. But for Hari, it was perfect. "This is it," he said, standing in the middle of the dark space. "This is where it begins." His sister Mira looked around, unsure. "It's a little broken." "True," Hari smiled, "but fire can be born even from ashes." Old Kesh nodded with pride. "A true chef doesn't need a golden kitchen. He only needs heart, heat, and hunger." That night, Hari couldn't sleep. He sat at his small table with paper, a pen, and an old tablet. He began to sketch ideas, kitchen layout, menu ideas, ingredients, and lighting. The name came to him like a whisper from his past. Earthfire. "A place where human food tells human stories," he wrote. The next day, they began cleaning. Cargo Bay 12 was full of old junk, broken machines, empty containers, and piles of dust. Hari rolled up his sleeves, grabbed a broom, and started sweeping. Mira brought buckets of water. Kesh brought tools that it was hard work. Their hands hurt, and their clothes became dirty. But none of them stopped. For the first time in weeks, Hari felt alive. Soon, news began to spread in the lower districts. Other humans, small shopkeepers, and street food sellers came to see what Hari was doing. A few offered help. A young man named Ravi, who sold noodles from a cart, came and said, "If you're building a real human restaurant, I want in. I can wash dishes, chop vegetables, anything." Hari welcomed him with a smile. A baker named Nina donated flour and yeast. "Just give me one corner for my bread," she said. Piece by piece, Earthfire started to come alive. They fixed the old stoves. They connected pipes and wires. They painted the walls with warm colors, red, orange, and brown. Mira drew earth symbols on the doors. They built tables from scrap wood and metal. Even the chairs didn't match, but it all felt real, human, and full of soul. One day, while Hari was testing a new dish made with alien mushrooms and earth garlic, a strange visitor came in. He was short, thin, with green skin and large eyes. He wore a delivery uniform from Zingo Couriers. "I smelled something," the alien said, sniffing the air. "It reminded me of home, though I've never been to Earth." Hari looked at him with curiosity. "Are you hungry?" The alien nodded quickly. Hari gave him a bowl. The alien took one bite, and his eyes widened. He sat down on the floor, eating slowly, silently. After he finished, he looked at Hari. "This Food has ... feeling. Hari smiled. That's what we cook here. The alien hesitated, then said, My name is Liku. I'm just a delivery boy. Can I learn? Can I help you? Hari looked at Mira and Kesh, then he nodded. Yes, but here, we don't just learn cooking, we learn meaning. Liku became the first alien to join Earthfire. He worked hard. He cleaned floors, chopped vegetables, and slowly learned how to feel the food, not just measure it. At first, he struggled. He burned a stew. He overcooked noodles. But Hari was patient. Cooking is like music, Hari told him. You don't only follow notes, you feel the rhythm. Together, they created new dishes, human meals mixed with alien ingredients. Hari called them unity dishes. One was flame. Rice, a spicy earth rice dish cooked with glowing blue mushrooms from planet Verdo. Another was memory soup, made from vegetables that triggered old memories in the brain. Aliens loved it. As the kitchen came alive, Mira worked on spreading the word. She printed small cards and gave them to people in the street. She sent messages through local networks. On the cards was written, Earthfire, a taste of soul, open soon in Cargo Bay 12. But most aliens didn't care. To them, human food was weak. Too soft, they said. Too old-fashioned. Double quotes. Hari didn't mind. We don't need many, he said. We just need one person, one soul to understand. Then, one night, something unexpected happened. Strange user posted a review on the Galaxy Net. The post read, Found a hidden place in Cargo Bay 12. They served a dish that made me cry. I remembered my mother's laughter. I don't know how. I only know I want more. The post went viral. Next evening, Earthfire had its first real customer, a tall alien with 6 arms and shiny red eyes. He said nothing. He sat quietly and waited. Hari served him spiced lentil bread with garlic paste and rainbow root tea. Alien took a bite. Then slowly, he placed his hand on his heart. I felt ... warmth, he whispered. Hari nodded. That's the Earthfire promise. The alien left without a word, but 2 more customers came the next day. Then 5, then 10. Soon, Earthfire was buzzing with quiet talk. People, aliens, and humans came and waited in line for a seat. They didn't come for show. They came to feel something real. Some aliens came in secret, afraid of being seen eating human food. But they still came. They needed something they couldn't find in big restaurants, emotion, memory, soul. And Earthfire gave it to them. One night, while cleaning the counter, Hari looked around. The kitchen was warm. The air smelled like home. Liku was laughing. With Ravi, Mira was writing notes. Nina's bread was fresh. Kesh sat in the corner, sipping tea. Hari felt something inside him rise, not pride, but peace. We're not just cooking, he said to himself. We're healing. But outside Earthfire, not everyone was happy. At Zelther Flame, head chef Droger read the viral review with cold eyes. A human is stealing attention? He growled. He crushed the printed review in his hand. This ends now. Earthfire was no longer just an idea. It was now real, warm, loud, and full of life. Every night, the small restaurant in Cargo Bay 12 filled with people. Some were humans, happy to taste the food of their roots. Some were aliens, curious, or secretly hungry for something they had never felt before. Hari stood at the heart of it all, moving between the stove and the tables, his apron stained with spices and steam. He cooked with his hands, his heart, and his memories. Every dish was a story, and every customer was a listener. But running Earthfire was not easy. The kitchen was small. There were only a few working machines. Most of the work was done by hand. They had no robots to serve food, no fancy tools, and no auto cleaners like the rich places. But no one complained. In fact, the struggle gave Earthfire its charm. Hari's sister Mira became the manager. She took care of the money, supplies, and customer orders. She was smart and quick. She even designed a digital menu that updated every day, showing which dishes were fresh and which ones were low. Ravi, the young noodle seller, became assistant chef. He was fast, funny, and full of energy. He often sang while chopping vegetables, making everyone smile. Liku, the green-skinned alien, worked hard every day. He still made mistakes sometimes, burning rice, dropping plates, but Hari never got angry. Instead, he said, making mistakes means you're learning. Liku slowly began to understand the human way of cooking, not by numbers, but by feel. He added his own ideas, using alien spices in new ways. His mix of moon herbs and earth pepper became a big hit. Hari gave him full credit. Even old Kesh, though retired, visited often. He sat in the corner with a cup of soup and watched. Sometimes he gave advice. Other times he just smiled. One evening, a small group of students from the Galactic Cooking Academy visited Earthfire. They were dressed in neat white uniforms and had robot assistants. One of them, a tall girl with bright blue hair, asked Hari, "Why don't you use machines? They can cook faster and cleaner." Hari replied, "Machines are good, yes, but they don't have memories. They don't know what it means to miss your mother's food or to share a meal with someone you love." The students were quiet for a moment. Then they sat down and ordered memory soup. Later that week, one of those students posted a video review online. She showed the food, the kitchen, and even a clip of Liku smiling as he flipped flatbread over an open fire. The video went viral. Within days, Earthfire had a long line outside. People came from other parts of Miros 9. Some came from other planets. The team had to work harder than ever. Hari trained Ravi and Liku to cook more dishes. Mira added more tables by joining 2 cargo containers and turning them into dining rooms. Nina, the baker, started making breakfast pastries for morning visitors. The once empty cargo bay 12 now had lights, music, and the smell of fresh food all day long. But not everyone was happy. At Zelfer Flame, the famous alien restaurant where Hari had once worked, head chef Droger watched the news with cold eyes. Every day, he saw Earthfire mentioned in reviews, food channels, and cooking forums. Earthfire. Earthfire. Always Earthfire, he muttered. His own restaurant was still open, still clean and perfect, but fewer people were visiting. Many aliens now wanted to try emotional food. Droger didn't believe in that. For him, food was about control, precision, and perfection. How can they call that mess real cooking? He shouted to his staff. One of his assistants said quietly, "Sir, should we maybe learn from Earthfire? Maybe add some feeling." Droger slammed his hand on the counter. "No, we are not storytellers. We are chefs, real chefs." He began to plan something. Back at Earthfire, Hari had no idea what Droger was thinking. He was too busy dreaming. One night, after closing, the team sat together, tired but happy. Mira brought tea. Liku passed around leftover cake. Ravi played music from Earth's old radio systems. Hari looked around at them and said, "We've come far, but I want more. I don't mean more money or more fame. I want Earthfire to be a place where people learn, where they grow. A place that teaches others what human cooking really means." Mira smiled. "You mean a school?" Hari nodded slowly. "Yes, one day. Maybe not today, but soon. Earthfire won't just be a restaurant. It will be a light." Liku raised his cup. "To Earthfire and to dreams." They all cheered, but dreams can attract enemies. 2 days later, Mira found a strange message in Earthfire's inbox. It was short and unsigned. "You are not welcome here. This city does not belong to Earth Food. Close now before it's too late." Mira showed it to Hari. He read it and stayed calm. "We're doing something good." That always scares someone. He didn't let it stop him. Instead, he told Mira to increase security, fix the front camera, and add an emergency exit in case of trouble. He didn't want fear to control them. The next night, Earthfire received a very special booking. It was marked private guest, high priority, no name. No details. Hari was curious but said yes. He always believed food should be open to everyone. When the guest arrived, he wore a dark cloak and sat in a quiet corner. He didn't speak much, only asked for something warm, something real. Hari served him ember stew, a human dish, made with slow-cooked earth beans, roasted alien roots, and handmade flatbread. The guest ate slowly, one bite at a time. When he finished, he looked at Hari and said, "This food reminded me I still have a heart." Then he stood up and left. Hari didn't know who the guest was. But Mira found a news report the next day. One of the Culinary Council judges was seen visiting the lower sectors in disguise. "Do you think it was him?" she asked. Hari smiled. "Maybe, but more important, the food reached him." Outside, the line to Earthfire grew longer. And deep in his cold kitchen, Droger prepared for war. The smell of spice and fresh bread filled Cargo Bay 12. Inside Earthfire, the kitchen was hot, the tables full, and the team was working like a strong beating heart. Hari moved from station to station, checking soups, adjusting flames, and helping Liku season a pot of blue lentil curry. Across the room, Ravi laughed as he flipped flatbreads in the air. Mira walked between tables with a tablet in her hand, greeting guests and taking notes. It had been only a few weeks since the viral reviews, but Earthfire had already become a special place. Not just for humans, but for anyone who wanted food with meaning. A tiny one-eyed alien sat alone near the window, wiping away quiet tears as he ate a dish called Grandmother's Bowl. It was a simple meal, earth rice, alien mushroom gravy, and a fried egg, but it stirred something deep inside him. Another group of young alien workers came in their dirty uniforms, sitting together after a long shift. They ate slowly, enjoying each bite, laughing together like old friends. Every evening felt like a festival. But behind all the happiness, Hari felt a change in the air. The unknown guest in the dark cloak had not returned. The strange warning message Mira received was still fresh in his mind. And now he noticed new faces in the crowd. Guests who did not eat, only watched. They sat quietly, eyes scanning the kitchen, whispering into tiny earpieces. Mira noticed too. "I think someone is studying us," she said softly. Hari nodded. "Let them watch, we have nothing to hide." But in his heart, he knew this peace might not last. Then one afternoon, something strange happened. A large silver shuttle landed quietly outside Cargo Bay 12. It looked clean, official, and expensive. 4 aliens in dark uniforms stepped out and entered Earthfire without saying a word. Mira moved forward. "Welcome to Earthfire. Do you have a booking?" One of them, tall and sharp-faced, answered coldly, "We are here on behalf of the Galactic Culinary Council. One of our judges reported a unique dining experience here. We've come to investigate." Hari came forward, wiping his hands. "I'm Chef Hari. Please sit. We don't use robots. We don't perform tricks. We just cook with heart." The lead inspector looked around the kitchen, the wooden tables, the handwritten menu. "This is highly unprofessional. No temperature monitors. No molecular plating. No auto-measure tools," Hari smiled. "We measure by taste, not by code." The man frowned. "This may be charming, but is it safe?" Hari said nothing. He simply returned to the kitchen and began cooking. He chose a dish called Soul Stew. It had earth beans, star carrots from planet Vexa, and a swirl of spice paste handed down from Hari's grandmother. He placed the bowls in front of the inspectors. They tasted the food in silence. After a few minutes, one of them, a short alien with 4 eyes, looked up and said, "This tastes like my childhood. I've never been to Earth." Hari replied gently, "Feelings don't care where you're from. Good food speaks one language. The inspector said nothing else. They stood and left, their silver shuttle disappearing into the sky. The very next morning, something big happened. A message appeared on the galaxy's main food network. Earthfire, a new kind of dining. Emotional, cultural, real. Under review by the Culinary Council for potential award nomination. Hari read the message again and again. His hands trembled. Mira shouted with joy. Ravi spun in circles. Even Liku danced. Old Kesh, sitting nearby, with tea, laughed. Looks like your fire is catching, boy. Soon after the news, more guests arrived. Famous alien food bloggers, human poets, artists, musicians. They all came not just for food, but for the experience. One night, a well-known alien singer stood up after eating memory soup and sang a soft, wordless song that brought tears to many. Another evening, blind artist ate a sweet earth dessert and later painted a glowing mural of Earthfire on the wall outside. The restaurant had become more than a place to eat. It was now a place of connection. But trouble was coming. Back at Zelther Flame, Chef Droger watched all this unfold with cold eyes. Disgraceful, he growled. Emotions, memories, weak tools. Cooking is not about crying. It's about power, structure, and control. His assistant asked, "What will you do, sir?" Droger turned to him with a cruel smile. "I will destroy Earthfire, publicly." He made a call to the Galactic Cooking Arena, the grand stage where only the top chefs competed. 2 days later, Earthfire received a message. It was official. Chef Hari is challenged by head chef Droger of Zelther Flame. A public cook-off at the Galactic Arena. Winner shall earn recognition. Loser shall close their kitchen permanently. Mira's mouth fell open as she read it aloud. Liku looked scared. Can he really shut us down? Hari stared at the message for a long moment. Then he stood up. Double quotes, yes, if we lose. Ravi asked, then why did he challenge us? Because we're growing too fast, Hari replied. And we're human. That scares him. Old Kesh stood slowly from his chair. Then show them all. Show the galaxy what a human dish can do. Hari looked around the kitchen, at his team, his family. I accept the challenge, he said firmly. Mira placed her hand on his shoulder. Then we prepare, not just to cook, to win. Outside, the line of guests waited for Earthfire's next meal. Inside, the flame of a great battle had just been lit. The Galactic Cooking Arena stood like a giant silver dome in the middle of Miros 9. It could hold 10,000 guests and was filled with screens, drones, and flashing lights. Only the greatest chefs ever stepped into this place. Now, it was time for Chef Hari to enter. Inside a private room, Hari stood quietly. He wore a clean white apron and held a small spice pouch in his hand. It had been his mother's, filled with the same earth spices she once used. He had brought it for strength. Mira, his sister, adjusted his collar. You don't need to impress them, she said. Just be yourself. Liku stood by the door, nervous but proud. You can beat Droger. He doesn't know how to cook with. Feeling, Ravi handed him a wooden spoon. For luck. Hari smiled and nodded. Thank you. Today, we cook for everyone who was ever told they were less. Outside the room, the arena was filling fast. Aliens from all over the galaxy had come to watch. Some wanted a show. Others wanted to see a human chef fail. But many were there because Earthfire had touched their hearts, and they wanted more. In the center of the arena stood 2 massive cooking stations. On one side, Chef Droger, tall, silver-skinned, cold-eyed. He wore a sharp metallic apron and was surrounded by robot arms, measuring tools, and glass machines. His kitchen looked like a science lab. On the other side, Chef Hari, standing alone at a wooden counter with a fire stove, a knife, and a few hand tools. No machines, no fancy lights. Just soul. A loud voice echoed in the arena. Welcome to the Galactic Cook-Off. Today's battle: heart versus precision, fire versus frost. Chef Hari of Earthfire versus head chef Droger of Zelther Flame. The crowd cheered. Then came the rules. Each chef must prepare 3 dishes. A dish to show skill, a dish to show identity, a dish to show emotion. You have 3 hours. Begin. Round 1. Skildrogar moved like a machine. His robot arms chopped vegetables at high speed. Liquids floated in tubes. Flames rose under glass pots. He prepared Tarkin shell soup, a perfect alien dish that required 19 ingredients and exact timing. Hari, meanwhile, chose something simple: earth-flat dumplings. He filled them with a mix of earth mushrooms and alien greens, folding each one by hand. He steamed them over wood fire, using only a cloth cover and a pot. The judges tasted Droger's soup. They nodded with respect. It was perfect. Then they tasted Hari's dumplings. One judge took a bite, paused, and smiled. "This feels like a rainy evening," she said softly. "Warm, soft, and real." Score: tie. Round 2. Identity. Drogar now made cold flame steak, a dish that stayed frozen on the outside but burned hot inside, cooked with rare chemical tech. The crowd gasped at the glowing colors and frozen steam. Hari chose spice trail stew, a dish his father once made while traveling through earth deserts. He used beans, alien root vegetables, and fire-roasted herbs. The stew was cooked slowly, with stories shared while stirring. As Hari cooked, he spoke. "This was the meal my father made when we had nothing but firewood and dry beans." Every spoon was hope. The judges tasted Droger's steak. It was perfect in shape and temperature. One judge said, "Clean, impressive." They tasted Hari's stew. One judge closed his eyes and whispered, "It reminds me of home. And I never had this dish before." Score: Hari leads by 1. Final round. Emotion. Now the whole arena went quiet. This was the most important round. Droger prepared a crystal dessert made with molecular tools. It changed colors as you ate. It was beautiful, flawless, and cold. The crowd clapped. Hari stepped up to his station. He took out a single earth pot. From his spice pouch he sprinkled a small amount of red earth chili, mixed with crushed sun leaves from Leku's home planet. He made a dish called Home. It had 3 parts: a small bowl of rice, soft and warm, a spoon of spiced lentils, cooked with earth and alien herbs, a piece of flatbread, roasted over fire, brushed with garlic oil. He placed it on a simple wooden tray. No lights, no smoke, just warmth. As the judges took a bite, Hari spoke. "This is the meal my mother made when we were sad. She said it couldn't fix the world, but it could fix the heart. I share it with you now." The judges were silent. One of them wiped away a tear. Another placed her hand on her chest. Then something surprising happened. A guest in the crowd stood up. It was the same mystery man who once came to Earthfire in a cloak. He now removed his hood. Gasps filled the arena. He was a high judge of the Galactic Culinary Council, the most respected food voice in the galaxy. He stepped onto the stage and said, "I have eaten in thousands of kitchens. I have tasted food from over 100 planets, but today I felt something new. I felt like I was home." He turned to the crowd. "This chef may not have machines. He may not follow perfect formulas, but his food touches the heart, and that is what cooking truly means." The crowd stood and clapped. Aliens, humans, robots, all together. The final score appeared on the big screen. Winner, Chef Hari of Earth. Droger stood frozen. He couldn't speak. His perfect dishes, his cold methods, had lost to a human who cooked with feelings. He walked off the stage without a word. Hari, meanwhile, looked at his team. Mira was crying. Leku was jumping with joy. Ravi shouted, "You did it!" Old Kesh stepped onto the stage and hugged him. "You didn't just win," Kesh said. "You changed everything." Hari looked out at the crowd. He wasn't just a fired chef anymore. He was a symbol. He was the fire. The day after the big competition, the streets of Miros 9 were buzzing. Every screen across the planet showed one name, Chef Hari, the heart of the flame interviews, headlines, news drones flying outside Earthfire. The small restaurant that once struggled to fill 5 seats now had a line stretching all the way down the road. But Hari didn't let the fame go to his head. Inside Earthfire, he still stood behind the stove, cooking with the same old pot, the same fire, and the same love. Visitors from every star people from different planets arrived one after another. Some came with strange clothes and glowing eyes. Others came in silence, holding children by the hand. One alien family from the planet Ilar 7 sat down and whispered, "We came 12 light years just to try your home dish." Hari smiled and served them with care. "I remember being a child." The Elor mother said, "I didn't know food could speak." Soon, not just customers, but chefs, scientists, and council members started visiting Earthfire. They didn't just want to eat, they wanted to learn. One day, an alien chef from the cold moons of Theral said, "Teach me how to use fire with feeling." Hari didn't give lectures. He didn't hand out recipes. Instead, he invited them into his small kitchen, handed them spoons, and said, "Taste, listen, stir with your heart." Droger's silence far across the city, in a silver tower. Chef Droger sat alone. He had not spoken to anyone since the cook-off. He watched the videos of the final round again and again. His machines had cooked perfectly, but still, he had lost. He did not understand why. One evening, his assistant brought news. "Chef Hari's dish is now being taught in alien schools," the assistant said. "They call it emotional cooking." Droger stood up. "Where is his restaurant?" "Earth District." But it's before he could finish. Droger had already left out an unexpected guest that night. Earthfire was busy as always. Mira was taking orders, Ravi was washing dishes, and Liku was running in and out with plates. Hari was at the stove, stirring a pot of red bean soup. When the front door opened. Everything went quiet. Chef Droger walked in. Some customers gasped. Others stood. Mira stepped forward. "Can we help you?" Droger looked at Hari. His voice was calm, not angry. "I wish to eat." Hari nodded. "Take a seat." He served Droger the same 3 dishes from the final round. No changes. No fancy tricks. Just the same warm food. Droger took a bite, closed his eyes, and sat silently. After a few minutes, he stood up and walked toward the kitchen. "Chef Hari," he said, "I wish to learn." Hari looked at him for a long time. Then slowly he said, "Take off your gloves, use your hands, feel the food." Droger removed his gloves. It was the first time he had ever cooked with bare hands. From that day, Droger came to Earthfire once a week, not as a rival, but as a student. The Earthfire school months passed. Earthfire became more than a restaurant. It became a school. Students came from all over the galaxy, not just to learn cooking, but to understand emotion, memory, and soul through food. Hari gave each student a simple rule. You're not cooking food. You're cooking stories. Every dish had to mean something. A boy from the ice planet cooked a warm soup that reminded him of his grandmother's hugs. A girl from the desert made a cold fruit salad that tasted like hope on a hot day. Robot learned to cook noodles with broken movements, but they tasted like joy. The Galactic Council even changed their food rules. They made feeling the 4th pillar of great cooking, along with taste, texture, and technique. They called it the Earthfire Principle. Back to the beginning. One night, after closing time, Hari sat outside the restaurant with Mira, Liku, and Ravi. The stars were bright. "Do you remember?" Mira said. "The night you were fired?" Hari nodded. "I thought everything was over, but it was the start," Ravi said. "The fire just moved to a new kitchen." Liku added, "You didn't just open a restaurant. You opened a new path. They sat in silence for a while. Then Hari said, I want to open another place. Another earth fire? Mira asked. No, Hari smiled. Not a restaurant. A garden. A place where food grows and stories grow with it. A place where anyone, rich or poor, human or alien, can come, plant something, and return later to share a meal. They all looked at each other and smiled. The seed of the future. The next morning, Earthfire closed for one day, just one. Hari and his team walked to an empty piece of land behind the district. It was dry, dusty, and forgotten, but Hari kneeled down, dug a small hole, and planted a single earth tomato seed. This, he said, is the beginning of something even bigger. Above them, the sun rose, golden and gentle. A new chapter was starting, not just for Hari, but for everyone who believed that food could heal, connect, and inspire. Months passed after Hari planted the first seed in the dry land behind his restaurant. That single tomato plant had grown tall, green, and full of fruit. But it was not alone anymore. Now there were rows of vegetables, fruits, and herbs, some from Earth, some from other planets. Blue vines from Siron 5 climbed wooden sticks. Red melons from Glee's fields lay soft in the soil. And beside each plant was a wooden tag with a name and a story. This garden was not just for food. It was a garden of memories, lessons, and healing. Visitors in the soil people came from across the galaxy, not to take selfies or buy expensive food. They came to dig. An old woman from Mars arrived one morning. She held a small seed in her hand. This is from my home, she said. I lost my husband during the war. We used to grow these together. Hari gave her a small corner of the garden. She planted the seed, and for the first time in years, she smiled. A young boy from a war-torn colony came with his older brother. Don't want to remember anything, he said. Can I just watch? Hari nodded. You can watch or just sit. This is your space too. The boy sat quietly in the middle of the garden, touching the leaves and closing his eyes. By evening, he whispered to his brother, I think I want to grow something next time. Harvest Day, every 30 days, Earthfire Garden held a special day. Harvest Day. No customers, no menus, no prices. Instead, everyone came with their own bowls and shared whatever had grown. Some brought rice, some baked bread, and others brought nothing at all, but they were still welcome. Hari stood by the big clay oven, roasting vegetables with spices. Mira passed out bowls. Liku danced around singing songs from his planet, and Ravi made juice from purple oranges. On one harvest day, Chef Droger arrived again. He brought nothing, but offered to cut and serve. People watched in silence as the once cold robot chef gently placed soup in a child's bowl. This was not a restaurant anymore. It was a family of strangers learning to be human together. Galactic Council returns one morning. A silver ship landed outside the garden. The Galactic Food Council had returned, not with drones, cameras, or judges, but with tools. We want to build a garden like this on every major planet, the council leader said. Hari smiled. Then build it. But don't use machines to plant seeds. Let the people do it with their own hands. The council agreed. Within 3 months, Earthfire Garden started appearing on moons, stations, and planets. Every garden had one rule. You are not just planting food. You are planting hope. Mira's idea one quiet night, after everyone left. Mira sat with Hari near the fire pit. Do you think the garden is enough? She asked. Hari looked up. What do you mean? Mira said, we grew food, shared meals, taught others. But some places still suffer. There are children eating paste out of tubes. Soldiers who don't know what taste even means. Hari nodded. What if we took the garden to them? Hari thought about it. A mobile garden. A moving fire. A roaming kitchen. He stood up, excited. We'll build a star cart. The star cart launched a few months later. A large silver ship stood ready at the edge of the city. It wasn't big or fancy. It looked simple, like an old food truck with wings. On the side, written in glowing letters, Earthfire, a taste of home. Inside were ovens, water tanks, small soil beds, and a long table. Hari, Mira, Liku, and Ravi stood beside it. Dressed in aprons. The people of Miros 9 clapped and cheered. The ship rose into the sky. It didn't fly fast. It moved slowly, like a floating candle through the stars. A new kind of journey. The star cart stopped at mining colonies, refugee stations, abandoned ships, and dusty border planets. Wherever it stopped, they cooked. A miner who hadn't tasted fresh food in years cried after eating Hari's stew. A lonely old woman made her grandmother's bread and shared it with 20 strangers. A silent soldier from the Rim finally spoke after sipping Myra's spice tea. People didn't just eat. They remembered. They laughed. Some even danced. And everywhere the star cart went, they left behind a seed, a story, and a tiny garden. Hari's message. One day, a young alien asked Hari, "Why do you do all this? You could be rich, famous, live in a big tower." Hari stirred the pot and smiled. "I was once fired and left with nothing," he said. "But I learned that food is not just about taste. It's about people. It's about never letting someone eat alone. It's about making someone feel seen, even just for a moment." The alien nodded and said, "Then you're not just a chef. You're a light." Back to Miros 9 after many journeys, Earthfire Starcart returned home. The garden had grown wider. Children played between tomato vines and carrot beds. A small pond had fish, and glowing lanterns lit the path at night. Hari looked around and smiled. It was peaceful that evening. The team sat near the fire again, the same way they did long ago. Mira said, "We planted something much bigger than food." Liku said, "We fed not just stomachs, but hearts." Ravi smiled. This was more than a comeback. This was a new beginning. Hari nodded. "Flames can burn, but they can also warm." All I did was choose the second one. The final dish before bedtime, Hari walked to the kitchen and made one last simple dish. A bowl of soft rice, lentils, and pickled roots, just like the one his mother used to make. He placed it at the table, looked up at the stars, and whispered, "For anyone out there feeling alone,